Well, it's certainly a tricky time in the market, especially when we have a situation where we have the large correction coming down to our lows here. And in most cases with US markets, we've got three waves to the upside. So we can look at them as wave 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and then continuing to build to the upside. We could also look at them as wave A here and wave B here and wave C here and having this larger wave B in. So all of this down here would just be the A wave here and then an ABC for the B wave and then down for the C wave. This is the finance sector, but there's other sectors like this as well. So it is a bit of a tricky thing and it's an emotional thing, and all I can do is go step by step. And when I look at markets around the world outside of the US, most of them have just got, from the low here, have just got five waves moving up, such as all the currencies. The US dollar has got five waves moving down from the top here. It's having its rally. So the DAX, the FTSE, the Australian markets and many other markets have got five waves up from their point here. There's a lot of markets in the stock market that have also got five waves up as well. Now they're all sort of doing, they work in groups or they can be doing their own thing. So some of the markets like Tesla, for example, bottomed, I just call it the Christmas run here. They bottomed down here on this low here. So from their lows, they have five waves up. I mean, Apple's been going up for quite some time. So there are stocks that in the US markets that have five waves off their low. So I'm more on the bullish side of things, but I can certainly understand. The other thing is too that there's this particular, the finance market has come back up 50-60% from the previous low down here. Now there's some markets that are pushing the tops here, and then there's other markets that just really haven't gotten off their lows here. So the markets that haven't gotten off their lows here, Spotify, PayPal, those sort of things, well, sure, they could actually make a new low, but it doesn't mean the ones that have been pushing to the upside, say the industrial sector here, they're pushing out the tops here, and it all looks pretty perky at this particular point. Good support here and so on, and looks like it looks bullish, doesn't it? It's difficult to count it as a bearish pattern, actually, now that it's like this move here from the low has had five waves up here, right? And now it's taking this little top here is taking this one out. So, because before we could have perhaps had a look at this as an A wave, a B wave and a C wave up here for a big B wave and then come all the way down. But you'd have to say it's pretty bullish, isn't it? So, there are markets that are bullish and some that are very weak. So there's a bit of a, sort of a, conflict going on here. This is the iShares S&P value ETF here. So this one here is showing the correction here, but it's also taken out the tops here as well. So that's, that's a bullish sign. But we know when something takes out the top, it will vibrate around there for a while and do all sorts of things. Sometimes they just burst on through, but other times, they markets tend to make a new high and then they sort of correct, like over here. The markets here made a new high over here and they pull back. It makes a new high over here, pulls back. That's what it does. So that's what's going on here. But you'd have to say here too that, well, this particular product, the value ETF is pretty strong, taking out the tops here. So there is I see more of a case. I see more instances where there's a bullish case for things, but I understand there's a lot of stocks that are still quite low down here. They haven't moved up there, and they're in a weak spot, and I understand that, and they tend to catch up a little bit later, even if they do make a new low. So with the S&P here, I was thinking that from carrying on from Friday, we're looking for wave one here. I mean, once again, we could look at this as an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave and have a top in play here. But a lot of the markets that I'm looking at, this move down here is not 5 waves, it's in 3 waves here. So it makes it corrective. So I won't go into the details here, but we were looking for 5 waves coming down through here. I don't think it's finished yet, so there's a bit more to come. But that's where that is. The NASDAQ on a bit more detail, looking just at the 1 and the 2 here, because we're looking at NASDAQ stocks. We can look at it like this with wave 1 over here, and the A wave, the B wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coming down here. So we've still got more to come down here. Now there are stocks that are going to come down deeper. And even this here, you know, I mean, I've got this as 5 waves here. I mean, this would be an equal length to this move over here for this, you know. But there are stocks that that are quite weak, and they can come down further. So we need to take those on board as well. So let's go through them. Apple is one that's having, you know, a low here, but certainly not like the S&P and having 3 waves up here. It's pretty much a straight line up here. So yeah, look, if we label this wave 1 here, then it's possible for it to pull back to its 50-60%. That's the normal sort of Elliott thing. So in this particular instance here, we would need to be on the other side of the 150, and then we could sort of look at what the structure is and do all those sort of things. At the same time, because we're in a bullish market with this particular stock here, then it would make sense to buy new highs here based on that support here, and we are getting some sort of correction here. The correction is pretty flat. I mean, in terms of flat, I mean that this particular high comes close to this high here, so it's really being contained in here. So the likelihood of it dropping down this far is probably yeah, a bit far really, I think. I mean, obviously we got this supply zone in here, so around the 143 possibly, if it was going to drop down into that particular space. But let's just go through and have a look at a few ideas with this. So in this instance, just looking at it as face value here, an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here. But I do find when a market goes up for the B wave here and it goes quite high to the previous high, it's telling me that it's strong and it won't come down that far. If it only goes up to the 50-60%, well, then it will come down deeper at that point, you know. So it is showing a lot of strength, and it does have good support. Yes, it can move down a little bit further. The 10,000 ticks is where I keep alternative counts. I'm not sure what I've done here. Okay, this is an alternative count here. This is where it gets a little bit interesting, is that this would be kind of a flat correction. Now, if any of the markets are going to push higher, you know, I mean, Apple's, you know, a cashed up elephant, so it does appear to be 5 waves here, so it's possible for this to, I think there is 5, we'll check on that in a moment, but so it's possible for it to move straight on up there. And you know, so many times as traders, we're looking down here, you know, we've got our sort of our mind down here, and then suddenly it goes in the other direction. So we do need to be long above that top there, because this particular pattern is corrective, and it does look like a flat sort of correction, a 3-3-5 correction here that could stay in quite tight here. But at the same time, it's also if that is 5 waves, that could just be wave 1 here and 2 here and 3, 4, 5 coming down to the 143, 145 in that sort of area. Possible to come to the 61.8%, but yeah, I mean, anything is possible. We just need to wait for the setup. That said, we'll go to just continue to drill in. This would be the other way for it to move here, with the A wave here, the B wave here, and then 5 waves down through to here. So this can rally from the top to the bottom. It can rally back to the 50-60% and then move down from that point. Like I said, we'll go long above the top here. We can see the stochastic sort of lining up here. It's not, I mean, if this was going to be corrective up into here, I'd expect that to be, it was only 1 bar so far, so I'll give it a bit of space, but yeah, it has turned. Well, anyway, we'll see how quickly it goes. Yeah, so that's the possible pathway for this, and I'm not sure. I mean, normally I keep the bearish count on the 50 and the 1000 here, but I'll just have a look at what I got on the 1000. Oh, it's the same. Yeah, it's the same count here. So it does appear that we've got 5 waves here, just looking at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So we can have some sort of ABC pattern to here, or we could, as I mentioned before, we could actually have this C wave tucked in here, and that would be it, the A, the B, and the C, because it's going to be something like Apple that's going to lead the way to the upside, and then everybody else will, tag along, so to speak. So yeah, anyway, we'll see how that plays out over the next session or so. And on 100 ticks, just to drill in there and have a closer look at this little area here, just in case you've got a count on it and you need to compare it. And not to say that I'm right, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for wave 1. The ABC here, this length here, would be roughly the same as this length here. So we can kind of look at that going up into the close, anywhere between, I don't know, 153.50, 153.65 in that sort of area. So we'll just see how that goes. I mean, if that pushes up here, by the way, then you can short it under here. But shorting it into a big number like this is a little bit dangerous. So you'll have to expect this to pull back here before moving down again, if that was going to be the case. Yeah, so that's it. And also too, it's because it's got 5 waves here. It's a bit of a long shot. It means that we could just continue to move up from that point. I don't think it's the case, because the S&P and the NASDAQ needs to move a little bit lower. But yeah, anything is possible. Even if it did push up here, right? Even if it did push up here, it would end up having 5 waves up to the previous high, roughly speaking, and then it would have some sort of ABC pattern to come back. So we'd pick it up from that point there anyway. So we're not going to miss much in that regard. So that's Apple. I'll move through the others a little bit quicker. Amazon's quite a weak one, really. It's where is that? I'm just looking at something else. That's okay. Sorry about that. So basically, from the top here, we've got 5 waves down to the A wave here. And this is the 50-60% retracement level area here. So I don't think the C wave is going to come down that much. At max, it would probably come to 90, and anywhere between, anywhere in that sort of space. But yeah, so it's got 5 waves there. Let's just move in. I mean, this is a case where it's quite low to the lows here. So could it have a new low in here? Yeah, well, we do have a bearish count for this. We have that on the 50K and the 1000K. So in this case, it would look like something like this. I mean, it doesn't hurt to look at it. And this move down here would be 5 waves. So we can look at that on 1000 ticks. So from the top here, we're looking down at 1, 2, all the way down for wave 1 here and 2 here. And then we would be looking at 1 and 2, so we'll be going down for the 3rd wave at this point. So that's it's a possibility, but I'm thinking that we'll stay with the bullish count. It doesn't stop you shorting it, I mean, when we talk about should we be long or short, when you've got the closest largest number, your better bet is to be long above the closest largest number as support and looking for short trade setups on below the number, because it's being rejected here, isn't it? That's really what's going on here. It came down, had the battle, and wanted to have another crack at that fight, and lost it and dropped. So you can see that it's migrated from being support to resistance. So you would naturally look for short trades. That said, we'll just go into maybe the 5K tick on the long side. So we're looking at it in terms of wave 1 up here. I mean, there's a good case here to have this as an ABC, by the way. And In fact, it's a bit better than having it as 5 waves here. If this didn't make a new low here, then I'd be solid on the 5 waves up here, and I wouldn't really worry about the bearish count. But that little spike that we had here, I'm not really sure if I should include it or not, but yeah, there we go. But I think that, we've got to, we did see the market shore up on the Friday afternoon, but they're still sort of downish. So anyway, this would be where this is. We can see the stochastics wanting to kick back at that point. So let's just go to 100 ticks and have a look at this on the, get a bit more data here. It's a little bit messy when you get into these things here, but in a nutshell, we have to look at these as 5 waves down here in blue, 3, 4, 5 for wave A, and then wave B here, and this would be the bearish count if it's going to play out here. So I've got 2 things here. I'm not quite satisfied with 1, 2. Okay with 1 and 2 and 3 here, but I'm thinking this might. I could go 3, 4, 5 here and have this as 1 and go up here as that's 5 waves up here, an A and a B and a C up here for wave 2. I could also put wave 4 here. In fact, I'll just copy that. Put wave 4 here and have that as an A and a B and a C wave here. And then we come down for wave 1 here and then back for wave 2. So a bit of a, you see that? So yeah, there's a couple of ways that could sort of play out. So just less is more if you're going to be on the short side. And over to Nvidia here. So this is a bit like the S&P really, with 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here. This trend here hasn't been corrected, and we just sort of, it's a little bit like Tesla. It had this run up here, but it had it from the low here, so we're just trying to pick the top in these sorts of things. And we are seeing this, this is a daily chart, and we are seeing weakness in this market, and hopefully it pulls back and gives us a bit of a nicer pattern around this larger number here. It's always good to work with larger numbers, especially at the end of their correction rather than at the beginning. So let's just move in here. I mean, the bearish count here too would be that, we've got this as an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here. In fact, this is actually the high here for that. So you could even put wave 1 here. We'll just talk about that when we go through there. But in a nutshell, there's an A, B, C into the 50-60% retracement level area here. That makes a nice sort of bearish count. So, can't move that away. But the strength of this here is not like a C wave. This move here is stronger than this one here, the angle of it. So when we look at the angle, we can just look at it like this here, and then from top to bottom. So you can see that it's on a bit more of an angle there. So, I mean, it's just eyeballing the situation really. But we are toppy here, and we've got to kind of figure it out. Now, when we're in these sorts of situations, the key, the solution really is patience. That's the virtue that's required for these, because, as we say, everything is easy in hindsight, and then we can use that concept that we can not act straight away. We can just allow it to unfold, and it will reveal itself to a point. So let's just go in here. That's the 20k count. 10,000 count may be different. Yeah, it's got a different count on this, but we don't need to worry about that just for the time being. The 10,000 always has the alternative counts. So over to the 5k. So this is really what we're looking at here. This kind of lines up with the S&P and that a bit. So I'm thinking we've got the A wave, the B wave, and we've got to come down here. Now this is the actual high here, this one here. So, I think we could certainly label this differently here. So there is the possibility that we could put wave 1 here, and then look at just this is the A wave here, and then a B wave over here, and then a C wave down. So we'll need to be a little bit careful about things here. And like I said, we'll just allow it to mature. We do want to see this trend corrected a little bit. We know that this is a strong stock, and we know it's getting government support and all of those sorts of things. So from 5K, I don't need to go to 1. We'll just go to 100 here and just have a look at this situation. So yeah, very much like the S&P really. So if I looked at it as the A wave here, the B wave here, then 1 and 2, and then 1 and 2 here, and then 3, 4, 5 for the third wave, the fourth wave, and then the fifth wave here. Now we could come deeper here and all of those sort of things, but we'll just see how it goes. I mean, the only other mistake that I can make here is the move up here will be the B wave, and it's a little bit unfortunate because the B wave has really got the same pattern as a impulse wave to a start. So, and there's also a good case to count this up as 5 waves. There's also a good case to count this as 5 waves coming down here as well. So yeah, we just need to be a little bit careful about this one. We'll get there in the end, but we'll line it up with the other markets. That's the best thing to do. So this particular market here, Meta, is another one, a bit like Telstra and a bit Tesla and a bit like Apple as well. Whatever the case, this one started much earlier though, but it's also got a reasonably nice impulse wave to the upside. Now from the low to the high here, if we do call that wave 1, then it can pull back into the box here. So let's just go in and have a look at a few things here. Let's go to the 20K. So we've got this as the A, the B and the C unfolding here, and the 10K will probably have something different. Okay, yeah, so it's got wave 4 happening there and wave 5 going to the upside. It's a good case for this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5 and 38.2% retracement level here and then moving up. So we'll see how that goes. I don't think we really need to, if let's just assume for a moment this is the count, well then we'd want to catch this over here. Okay, so if it just went, if it had another little low here and then just went up there, then we'll know what it is at that point. If, however, it had this count going back to the 20K here, and we had the A wave here, and then had a B wave and a pulled wave down here, well then we'll know it was this count, and then we'll get in at this point. So if we're patient, we'll be able to work through this. Most of this count is pretty easy to track. It's just a little spike in the first instance that makes it a little bit tricky here. This is the 5K, but it's still got that wave 4 there, so we won't need that. I'll just have a look at this here. This is the bearish count. I'm trying to get a corrective pattern out of it as well, to the upside as an ABC. So we could have it as an A and a B, or an A and a B to here and then a C to here, but this is looking a little bit corrective in here. So let's just go to the 100 tick and we'll just work with what we've got here for the moment inside of this correction. So yeah, there's a couple of ways to look at it. The easy thing to understand is that from this little high here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got a nice 5-wave structure here. We've also got a nice 5-wave structure here. We're also, last time we spoke, we were looking for a nice 5-wave structure here. It's not quite finished just yet. It would be 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 5 for the third, the fourth and the fifth to come down. So that's kind of interesting in that sense, because I think that from here, we'll talk about this in a moment, but from here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got that 5 waves there. I could call it an A and a B and a C. That would sort of make a nice thing for that, having this as a wave 4 here, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, as an alternative count. But because this is a little bit sort of spiky, it makes it a little bit tricky. So that means that we could look at it all down as an A wave here, and then and then have the B wave over here, and then have a C wave down here for the wave 2 having this lower over here. That was pretty much the count. But I'm also sort of wondering is, do I look at this as wave 1 and 2 here? It's nice and sharp, 1 and 2, and the third wave here, and then the fourth wave, and then the fifth wave down. So there's a bit of work to do here, and it's kind of out of sync with the other markets to a point, if it's going to do something like this. So I'll need to ponder this a little bit further, and yeah, then we'll take a bit of a look at it. So it's possible for this to be wave 1 here and 2 here, and then all of this is the third wave here. So this will just come back as a larger fourth wave here. So that, because normally, you know, when you're looking at a wave 2, the A wave coming down, that's normally 5 waves, and then 3 for the B, and then 5 for the C. I mean, you can have it as WXYs, but yeah, I don't prefer to go there. I'm a bit old-fashioned on that. But yeah, so there we go. So we've either got an A and a B and a C wave here coming down to here. We've got that low in place, which it kind of looks okay to have that there, you know, because you see how strong this move was, and then this one here is reluctantly moving down, isn't it? So it's kind of telling me that there is a low coming into here. So it's probably a buying opportunity here. It's just how far it gets you, that's all. But normally too, when we're talking about the trading levels, this is major trading level 2, major level, we've got 1 here above, and then group 2 below, so group 1 and group 2. So it's quite normal for it to come up and hit this and then have a reaction in 3 waves. And this would normally be the buying thing, and then would have 5 waves up here, and then would have the ABC pattern across here. This is the normal sort of thing. So I don't think it's a big, not with leverage, but I don't think, if we get the S&P right and it's moving up, I think there's a buying opportunity here. I think this is when it sort of snaps back into this. But yeah, that's that. And Netflix here. So with Netflix here, there's different ways to count this up here. I understand that, but as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here would put it in line with the S&P, even though it started much earlier. But it's kind of good to continue to sort of round things up and you know, pull them together with the main count, because normally, you know, when this fell out of bed up here further, had the big sort of bearish move, well then, you know, it threw it out of whack from the herd, you know. But now I'm sort of bringing it back into the herd, so to speak, you know. But this one too, so we need to look at this as being a corrective move. It can come down to, you know, this space here, 50-60% from here to here. We could have a deeper correction. It's possible to count this in a different way. I did have it somewhere. I don't know if it was on the weekly or something. Where did I put that count? No. Maybe it's on the 20K. No, I'm not sure where it is now. It doesn't matter. We don't need to look at it today. But this is, start with this. That's 20. I'll just have a look at 10 because sometimes I've got to tune things up and do a little bit of work on things. Let's have a look at the 5. There's nothing on the 5 at all. So I'll just go to the 100 and bring in some more data here. So as a top here, as wave 1, and you would know you're looking at wave 2 here. So there's probably different ways to count this as well, but I thought that the A wave here, and then the B wave, and then 1 and 2, and then sort of in here as 1 and 2, and 1 and 2, and 3, 4. So coming down into the third wave, a fourth wave, and a fifth wave here. Now, you know, that's not set in stone, but once we do get around this area here, or once this matures a little bit further, then we'll be able to have a better guess at what is going on at this point. So yeah, it's certainly unfinished now that it's taken out this low here. This is definitely unfinished here, so we'll see how it goes. And the other thing is too, this one here overlaps this here, so it's a little bit, I think this is the only other way to count it really, well, there's different ways to count it, but having this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here for a deeper move down. But I think I've got to kind of line it up with this particular box here first. There will be a strong bounce off the 330, just in case you want to short this. There will be a strong bounce that will take you back to at least the 40 at that point, so be a little bit mindful about that. And Enphase here, this I just think that this is the daily chart. I just think that we need to, I don't know how we get down here, but we need to get down here. Now I'm kind of lining this up, you know, I know that it does inverters, but I've got to kind of, I'm just sort of putting it in with the green metals and all of that sort of stuff, you know, the lithium and the batteries, and I kind of got to, it's probably wrong for me to see it like that, but that's my first sort of guess at it all. I mean, one of the main things here, if I go back to the weekly chart here, just to bring in a few things, so this is all the data that I have on it anyway, but so it's had this nice run up here, but this is a run that lithium has had as well, that all of that mob has had that particular move here. This is log scale here, so the 50-60% comes back into this area here for this, so that's where I think we can come back to in this. And just as an example, if I may, let me just go left field here for a moment. This, I'll go to the Australian market. It might seem a little bit weird, but IGO here, this is an Australian lithium company, and it's also it's got Chinese interest in it as well. It's also had this big run all the way up here, you know, so it's going to correct as the A, the B and the C coming back. It's got to come back down here further, so all the lithium market is going to be coming down. That's the thing. So I think that all those others will come down as well, you know, the anything to do with that. So I think that the pressure for the downside for these types of markets are definitely on the cards here. So it's the next question is what's the count and how does it come down? As I mentioned before, I don't know if I need to put wave B over here for this, or I don't know if we get a kick back in here and then we go down, but it's be something like this. I'm not quite sure just yet, you know, but we should be down here further for this, down into this support here for this. So it's going to take a little while to get through this 200 here, but yeah, look, it might be simple. It might just give us 5 waves from that high here as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here. But I will keep a bit of a tuning to it with those lithium stocks and some of those other. There's some technology battery companies in there as well, but there's so much crossover. You know, you've got Samsung in there, and you know all these guys doing stuff in this market as well. But anyway, nothing to be had here at the moment for this. So with Tesla here, we can see that it's got that nice run up. This is another reason I'm bullish in the market. This is not, you know, this is not a corrective pattern. It's an impulse pattern. And with everything, with every structure, there's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end. So I can see that this is the building process here. We can see the middle is in here, nice strong move, and we can see here now that we're getting overlapping wave structures. You know, this is pulled back here, it's overlapped the top here. This one's overlapped this one. So we're at a top here somewhere now. You know, it's a strong stock, and it could do something out of left field. You know how it is with this guy. So So we could get another high here. We could get a correction back here, and then we go up at that point. You know, that's what I'm kind of thinking, really. But yeah, we just need to come up with a few sort of strategies here. Most of the corrections here and through all of this have been very small and very tight. So, you know, we need to move with that idea as well. Let's just move into this on the 20K. So this is what I'm sort of thinking here, is that we have the A, the B, and the C wave down here, and then we move up from that point. If this top gets taken out, in case this B wave just runs straight up there, well then I suggest buying new highs, you know, and that would be the correction of that point. But I don't think this is actually just not quite big enough for this just yet. You can label this in slightly different ways as well. I don't know what I've got on the 10K, but I'm going to have a look here. Okay, it's the same, so don't need any of that here now. We're just talking about that. I'll just need to tweak these up a little bit. We'll have a look at this situation in here. I mean, it certainly looks bullish, and it's got nice support here, hasn't it? It could just kind of continue up here, you know. We're thinking that it's going to come down and then it goes up. So all I can say is we need to be long above that situation there. This was another count that I had, yeah, with 1 over here and 2 in here already done, and then 1 and 2 in here, you know, and moving up. So, but yeah, we have to, it just have to be that high at that point. So let's just continue to cruise in. I'll have a look on the 1K tick chart here just in case. Okay, so this is what we're looking at here. So we're looking at, let me just fill the dots in here a little bit better. This would be the A wave here. Oops, today's the wrong one. And the B wave, and you can see straight away, you can see the 5 waves up for this move here. So it's not going to be too complicated in understanding this. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for this. I think that's correct. Yeah, it looks about right. So taking out that top. So, and extensions in wave 3. So wave 1 and wave 5 should be roughly the same. So we should come up there, and that's the 50-60%. And that makes sense to me too, because we've got all the, you know, resistance here there. So basically we should turn here and have another 5 waves down. And if we do that, well then we can bring our this long situation that we've got here, going long at that point, we can bring that down, you know, down onto the next one here. And then what we can do, if that is the case and the market turns up from here and we get our first impulse wave and we get a little classic trading levels pattern here, well then we're going to be bringing that down onto that note there. So that's how we'll be looking at this in due course. I don't think I don't think we need to go to 100 ticks, but I'll just see if I've updated. Oh, okay, I have updated it. There'll be a few counts on this one, but it's just the intraday that we really need at this point. So yeah, we haven't made a low below here, so the A and then the ABC here. Mind you, it looks like 5 waves there. That's kind of interesting. Still, we've got 5 here as well. 1 and 2, 1, 2, be in there somewhere. Yeah, so I think we're on the right track here. We'll just let that play out. And Alphabet. So, you know, Alphabet and Meta are part of the communication sector. You know, they haven't really gotten off the grounds. This is the communication sector here. Alphabet have got about 20% in this, but it, you know, we've watched this grow. You know, we were bullish on this turn here, and we've watched the 5 waves come in, and we've watched the correction, and we've watched this push up here. You know, it still makes a possible nice ABC pattern here. We're not out of the woods yet. Do you know what I mean? It's like we don't have, we don't have, this is not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the moment. It's not like that. It's not 5 waves here where we can have a correction and then go up again. It's not that easy at this point. There's but yeah. But anyway, we're getting there. It's hanging there with this. So with Alphabet here, I know that it's a wonky old sort of thing, and there's a couple of counts that can come in here because Google without the L here didn't have this as the high. It had this as the high. But anyway, as far as this goes, it's looking quite good now as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So we can look at this as the B wave. It might get a bit more complicated. We might get an A, B, C up here. I don't think so though. What the market needs to do. So we'll look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here. So you can expect this market at 90. That's how we'll view this, and we'll focus in on it over here. And this one is Microsoft. So we're looking at this as just on 100 ticks. We're looking at wave 1 here with the A wave here, ABC for the B wave, and then 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and down 5. So we've got down at the 250. Doesn't count that well in here. I understand that. We could stretch it out a bit further. We could look at this also as bring it down further and look at this as wave 1 and 2 in here as well. So, yeah, I mean, all we need to do here is we know, the good thing about this is that this move from the top here down to here, we can look at this as being an ABC correction. I mean, we could get 5 waves out of wave 1 and 2 here and then 3, 4, 5 here, but it's a little bit sort of small for that. So it's a good case for being corrective here. So all we need to do at some other point when this comes down here, so I don't know if we're going to get, it'll finish like that or it'll have another bounce here and then we'll work up. But we need to see 5 waves up here for our trade setup. That's as simple as that. That's how it'll look. So I don't know if we get this one or this one. So we'll need a little bit of patience at that point in time. We'll get there when it gets there. So that's just the way it is. And the Berkshire Hathaway here. So it does make a nice B wave here, and it's pretty weighty. And a lot of these value shares are holding up quite nicely, and obviously this is holding up quite nicely. You just normally expect this in terms of a pattern for this to be breached here at least, So anyway, we're just being patient with this. We don't need to do anything. If this top gets taken out, we go long on this. But yeah, we know that this is a bullish case, but that correction may not be finished. With block here, so from the top at 90 here, we'll look at this as the A, the B, and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. I was looking at Shopify and PayPal, and they look, they look horribly weak. So I'll just take this one step by step again here. I know that we can go along above the B wave, but here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. We'll let this play out here. This is kind of in tune with the NASDAQ and the S&P. If this is indeed the right count, once it lands here, we'll need to see a nice 5 waves up here that will try to build in a small position here and then look to add, as we go further up here, if indeed we are going up at that point. So this is another stock that's really just been bobbing along the bottom in the bigger picture, and the same as Shopify and PayPal and those payment gateway companies. So the Bank of America, we've got wave 1 up here, and then we've got the A wave here, the B wave here, and yeah, I mean, look, I could put this as wave C of 2 in here, but we haven't reached our target box here for this, but we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, so it's possible we've got a low in here, but I'm just going to chill a little bit. We don't have an impulse wave up here as yet anyway, so I'll just see if this hits supply here and then gives us this 3rd wave down, 4th and 5th, and then we'll become interested in it once we can validate it with an impulse wave over here. Then we can start moving in over this side with it. But yeah, anyway, that's where we are with this particular bank anyway. Alrighty, I'll leave it at that. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.